Hey there, you're listening to BD4, where there's no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. Yanks every series, Knicks every game, and MMA on occasion. Here's your host, RJ Carbone.
And a high drive into left center field. Stanley's going to watch another one fly. Are you kidding me? DiVincenzo a three. Bang! Bang! Knicks take a
Take this time to apologize to absolutely nobody.
At the wall. See ya! See ya! See ya! Mr. Nova.
Anthony for three. Bang! That one goes down and the game is tied.
Rose, you shook up the world again.
I did it again. But God did it, man. I really just have
To Bronson running away. Oh my! He has been the best player to put on that uniform.
Ball game over. Yankees win. The Yankees win.
Hello there, Yankees fans. Welcome to the 2025 baseball season. Welcome along. Welcome back if you are returning. And welcome if you are somehow stumbling upon this garbage in a pile of internet rubble and you've come across it on your timeline algorithm on YouTube. Maybe you found it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts somehow. Welcome. I appreciate you tuning in. Welcome to BD4, where there's no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. We also do MMA. Yankees every series, Knicks every game, MMA on occasion. But, as you can tell, we are going to discuss the New York Yankees opening weekend in this show. It was the first series of the year for the Bombers. Excuse me. And, man, am I excited to talk about it with you guys. So I hope you stick around and enjoy the show. Again, we do Yankees episodes every series. And so I'm very excited to talk about this past weekend. Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. That took place in the Bronx, where the Yankees swept the Milwaukee Brewers. What an opening weekend it was, man. I was eager to get back to baseball. Very excited. I get excited every year in spring training. Get tired of spring training games once we're like 5 days into camp. And I've just been waiting for it. And, not too long ago, the Yankees would always get off to slow starts. And they'd lose opening day, and it'd be a struggle in April, and Aaron Judge wouldn't hit in the first month of the season. Well, last couple of years, they've, been starting off pretty hot. And so we had ourselves a nice 3-0 weekend. The Yankees have begun their season 3-0, sweeping a solid division winning team, a solid division winner. The Brewers are no slouch. They are a different team. Obviously, they've lost a couple of guys, had a couple of guys come in. They're a solid team, and the Yankees manhandled them this past weekend. And to make things even better, we got Rafael Devers going 0 for whatever with a billion strikeouts, and the Boston Red Sox losing 3 in a row. Nothing brings me more joy than to see those rednecks cry. And then on the other side of town, you got the Queens, who continued to lose. Had a cute little opening day win, but I believe they've lost 2 in a row. And it's gorgeous. It warms my heart. It tickles my soul, especially now seeing that team lose. And, people want to use rent-free. You're damn right. The Mets and the Red Sox, I constantly think about. I constantly check the score to see if they're losing, and I love it. So when the Yankees are winning and those two excuses of teams are losing, makes life even better. So We got a ton to talk about. We have a lot to talk about, including some things that nobody would have thought we would have talked about. You know, some interesting storylines that have developed over the last couple of days with the Yankees' offensive explosions, and we'll talk about that elephant in the room in a little bit. But what we do here in these recaps, for those who do not know, if you are a new listener, we will recap these games, summarize games 1 to 3, and then we'll talk about the important storylines of those 3 games and of the upcoming year afterwards. And then we'll hand out who was the best position player of the series. We will give an award to who the best starting pitcher was in this series and who the best relief pitcher was. And at the end of the show, we go over what's up next on the schedule and do a little trivia question. So with that said, let's get into this recap. Let's start with opening day, and we'll do that as soon as we return from our first break here on episode 837 of BD4. Stay with us. Be right back. BD4 is available on social media for those who want to follow. You can find BD4 on Instagram at BD4Pod. You can find us on X at BD4Pod. And you can find us on Facebook by simply searching BD4. All right, let's go. So we will start with game 1 of the series, opening day. Game 1 of the season, opening day on Thursday. The Yankees beat the Brewers in a modest 4-2 victory. You have the lefty Carlos Rodon going up against the righty Freddie Peralta. And the Yankees were able to muster up 4 runs on 7 total hits, 2 home runs, 4 walks, 10 strikeouts. They did not ground into any double plays, 1 sac fly, and they went 1 for 7 with runners in scoring position. You had Austin Wells at leadoff in this lineup versus the righty Peralta. The Yankees were able to get 2 runs on Peralta in 5 innings. Bottom of the first, you had the Austin Wells leadoff home run to the porch to begin the year. Bottom 2, Volpe solo home run to the porch, 2-0 Yankees. Little later in the game, you get to the Milwaukee bullpen. 2 runs on them in 3 innings. Bottom of the 7th, Aaron Judge, an RBI double off of the third base bag. That's his first hit of the year. That was off of Koenig. 3-1 Yanks. Belly gets the sac fly to right field to make it 4-1. Austin Wells goes 1 for 3 with a homer in the game. Also a walk. Judge 1 for 4, double. Belly 1 for 2, single, walk, sac fly. Grisham goes 1 for 1. He was a defensive replacement. We'll talk about that a little more later. Volpe goes 1 for 4 with a homer. Rice 1 for 2 with a walk. Cabrera 1 for 3. And Jazz Chisholm 0 for 3, but he made a nice play at second base. Rodon pitched 5 1/3. We will talk more on his outing later. The bullpen goes 3 innings, no runs, 4 strikeouts. Tim Hill escapes a jam for Rodon in the 6th inning, going sinker and 4-seam. Goes 2/3 of an inning, 1 hit, no runs. Leiter pitches a clean inning, no runs, 2 strikeouts. More on him later. Weaver got the job done. The velocity was down, but it's April. He goes an inning, no runs, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts. And then Devin Williams in the 9th inning struggled, obviously. And he struggled with his command. And obviously, you know, he's from Milwaukee. So the Brewers, you have to think, know his stuff well. So, whatever. You know, he comes in, top of the 9th inning. 95 up and in to Ortiz for a leadoff base hit. Then he hangs a changeup, or you guys can call it a changeup. I'm calling this pitch a screwball. He hangs his airbender pitch to Collins for a double. Couldn't find the zone with it, really. You know, he hung another one to Turang for a sac fly. He walked Bowers because he couldn't find the zone with the changeup. That was before the 2-rank sac fly. Hard hit ball. Blake comes out to visit, and he ends up getting 2 strikeouts to end the game after that. He gets Churio to swing at 2 changeups in a row, and then he gets Yelich to swing at 2 fastballs in a row. I think on the second one, Yelich was guessing changeup. Williams won fastball, blew him away, gets the save. Final line, 1 inning, 1 run, a walk, 2 hits, 2 strikeouts, gets the save. So got the job done at the end of the day. No harm, no foul. Carlos Rodon gets the win, and the Yankees win 4-2. That's game 1. Game 2 of the series, the Yankees, well, they won 20-9. You had the lefty Max Fried going up against the lefty Nestor Cortes. And the Yankees were able to score 20 runs on 16 hits, 9 home runs, 8 walks, 5 strikeouts, no double plays grounded into, 1 sac fly, and they were 6 for 9 with runners in scoring position. This was the left-handed pitcher lineup that they put out there. We'll talk more about that in a bit. But they scored 8 runs on Cortes in 2+ innings. Nice payback for the World Series, I'm assuming. I don't know. Maybe he was just trying to be kind to his former team. But, the stuff and the location was awful. His fastball was up in the zone all day, or all 2 innings. 4-seamer and cutter. He was just grooving that pitch to the top 3 in the order, right? Goldie, Belly, and Judge go back to back to back on 3 pitches. The first time that's ever been done. Judge crushes the shit out of that one. I think he said it was 468, the 7th longest of his life. Churio didn't even move a muscle. He just stood and outfielder he's out in left field. Judge hits the home run. He just looks at it. Doesn't even need to move his upper or lower body. And then Wells, a couple of at-bats later, goes deep. It's 4-0. Bottom 2, they weren't done. It's a 1-run lead at the time. Volpe, a 3-run blast. He pulls an inside pitch, torpedo bat. 7-3 Yankees. Cortes is done in the 3rd inning. Couldn't record an out. Milwaukee bullpen comes in. The Yankees get 12 runs in 6 innings on them. Judge grand slam off of Thomas in the 3rd inning, 12-3. Jazz hits a solo home run. 4th inning, Thomas is still out there. Judge gets his 3rd home run. Just misses his 4th home run in the 6th off of the righty Peguero. It's an RBI double off the top of the right field wall. Bottom 7th, Patrick is in, another righty. Oswald Peraza, pinch hit, 2-run blast to left field. Gets a good swing on it. That's the 9th homer of the game for the Yankees and their 20th run. It's 20-6 at the time. So their offense exploded. Goldschmidt went 2 for 3, doubled, homered. Bellinger went 3 for 5, homered. Sac fly, 4 RBIs. Judge goes 4 for 6, 3 home runs, a double, 8 RBIs. Jazz goes 2 for 5, home run. Volpe goes 1 for 4, home run, 2 walks, 3 RBIs. Wells goes 1 for 3 with a homer and a walk. Dominguez goes 1 for 3, couple of walks. On the mound for the Yankees was Max Fried, 4 2/3, 6 runs, 2 earned runs, 7 hits, 4 strikeouts, 2 walks, 2 hit batters, no home runs allowed, 94 pitches, and he gets the no decision. So I wish he was left in a little bit longer. I wanted the win for him. 5 innings looks a lot better than 4.2. But he definitely didn't have his best stuff. He allowed 11 base runners in 4 2/3 innings, not including the errors. So it wasn't all his fault. There was a lot of bad defense in this game. And there was some soft contact BS that you just couldn't do much about, which is his game. He's going to generate a lot of soft contact. The only extra base hit he allowed was the Churio double. It was a decent curveball that he gave him. But I didn't think he had a feel for his fastball, his 4-seam and 2-seam. Didn't think he had great feel for those 2 pitches. They were out of the zone a lot. A couple of walks with those pitches. One of the 2 hit by pitches he had was with the fastball. But I did like the velocity on the fastball. His velocity was higher than I expected it to be. It was around 94 to 90. He touched 98 a few times. He averaged 94. But he touched 98 a number of times early in the game. Got some whiffs, going into lefties with the 2-seam, up in the zone with the 4-seam. And he got results. Milwaukee hitters were just 2 for 17 on the 4-seam and 2-seam. It's a 118 average. I thought the curveball even looked sharp. It had great break. That thing is breaking like 12 to 6. It is a filthy pitch. He was going backdoor to righties on it, which is always going to be nice to watch. Got a lot of whiffs with it, along with the sweeper. But, he hung it once or twice, top of the second. Vinny Capra, RBI base hit. He hung the curveball. Thought he spammed it a little too much there in the early innings. I think it was the second inning. He was going curve. Couple of mislocated changeups. I think that pitch kind of got him a bit. Top of the fourth, Rhys Hoskins, an RBI base hit. Hangs the changeup. Top of the fifth, Yelich with an RBI base hit. It wasn't a terrible pitch. Maybe he was up a little bit, but it was in. So, overall, Max Fried, not a great debut, not a terrible debut. Not one we're going to remember for good or bad. The bullpen in this game, 4 1/3, 3 runs, 5 strikeouts. Gomez gets the last out in the 5th inning, and he pitches the entire 6th. So he goes 1 1/3, no runs. Hedrick gets the 7th, no runs. Carrasco gets the 8th and 9th. Gets shelled a little bit. Misplaces a couple of 2-seamers for extra base hits. He goes up to Bowers for a double in the 8th inning. And then he goes middle of the plate to Turang for a 2-run shot in the 9th. So his final line, 2 innings, 3 runs, 5 hits. But that was the Yankees, lower end of the totem pole relief pitchers. It was their C-level arms. Guys who you're not going to see unless it's games like this. I was actually seeing if they were going to go to a position player, being how big of a blowout it was. But the Yankees win Game 2 by a ton of runs. Today, Sunday, Game 3, 12-3, a much more modest, tight game. Marcus Stroman going up against the righty Aaron Savale. And the Yankee Bats in this game, 12 runs on 11 hits, 4 home runs, 4 walks, 6 strikeouts, no double plays grounded into, 1 sac fly, 3 for 7 with an runners in scoring position. This was another lineup where Goldie was leading off against the right-handed pitcher, though. And I think maybe it was because Aaron Savale is a reverse splits guy. Numbers-wise, it's not that drastic. I looked it up, but, his best weapon is cutter going in to lefties, and he'll occasionally go off speed backdoor to lefties. So, or maybe it was just, one of those, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. We scored 20 runs, put up 3 touchdowns. Why change that? But we'll see. It's something to keep an eye on. But they got 5 runs on Savale in 3 innings. Judge 2-run shot in the first inning, 2-1 Yankees. Bottom 2, Rice pulls a home run, 3-1 Yankees. Bottom 3, Jazz 2-run bomb, 5-1 Yankees. The Brewer bullpen comes in. They get 7 runs on them in 5 innings. Wells on the 6th inning with an RBI against Koenig. 6-3 Yankees. Bottom 7, the Yankees break the game open versus Payamps. Goldie and Belly with a couple of RBIs. Jazz with his second home run of the game. It's 12-3. Jazz goes 3 for 4, 2 homers, 5 RBIs. Goldie goes 3 for 5 with an RBI. Judge, 3 walks, a homer, 2 RBIs. Rice, 2 for 4, homer. Cabrera, 2 for 4. Volpe went over, but he did make a really good play up the middle in the 5th inning. On the mound, it was Stroman, 4 2/3, 3 runs, 5 hits, 3 Ks, 1 walk, 1 home run, 81 pitches, no decision. I thought Stroman was fine. I thought it was an average outing for Stroman. This is probably what you're going to get on most days. He was clearly trying to pitch away, stay on that outer edge of the plate, left-handed batter's box to righties to avoid major contact. He was hit early on hard contact, but he got through it. mustered through it, mixed up his pitches. He'll throw a bunch of pitches, sweepers, sliders, curves, changeups, slurves, two-seam, force. It's what he's got to do. He's got to mix it up. He's got to stay away from the barrel because he doesn't have great stuff or throw it very hard. So, 4 2/3, 3 runs, you take that. Bullpen, lockdown. 4 1/3, no runs. Hill goes an inning and a third. Leiter, Cruz, and Yarborough pitch an inning each. And that was game 3. So, there's your series where the Yankees sweep the Brewers. When we return from break, I want to talk a little bit about more. I want to talk a little more about this lineup because there are some things to take away regarding what the Yankee bats were able to do. Stay with us. Hey guys, just a quick reminder, this podcast is also available in video format on YouTube. So be sure to go over to the YouTube channel, BD4, subscribe, like the videos, comment, and tell me how much I suck or maybe how much you like the video. We'd very much appreciate it. All right, welcome back to the show. Episode 837 of the podcast, the Yankees sweep the Brewers. I think the first takeaway I have from this is it's something that I'm going to be following all season long. The Yankees faced a good amount of lefties in this series. Obviously, last year, that was far and away their biggest problem, was hitting left-handed pitching. We knew they were a good lineup. We knew they could mash. Specifically against lefties, they had not been able to do that. This year, coming into it, it seems like it might be an even bigger issue because they're even more left-handed. But on Saturday, they rolled out their left-handed pitcher lineup. Seemingly, it was Goldschmidt leading off because he kills lefties. Bellinger second to stagger Judge, and Bellinger can also hit lefties, despite being left-handed. Pablo Reyes was in there because he can hit lefties, and Cabrera cannot. Grisham was in there because Grisham, despite it being a lefty on the mound, is a reverse splits guy, and Rice is just straight up bad against lefties. And Austin Wells was dropped to 6th, not cleanup, like we initially thought, probably because he struggles badly against lefties. And the Yankees, with this lineup, scored 16 of their 20 runs against Milwaukee's left-handed pitchers. So, again, that's going to be very important going forward with Stanton on the shelf, with Torres not here any longer, with the other guy over in Queens. A lot of guys are going to have to step up and show that the Yankees are going to have a more productive day at the plate when they run into southpaws. Dominguez is going to have to play a role there. He struggles from the right side. Bellinger is going to have to play a role well as a guy who can hit lefties. Volpe is going to have to play a big role as one of the few righties on the team. And Judge and Goldie, the only true right-handed power bats on this entire roster right now. So, you liked the fact that overall in this series, the Yankees got to pretty much all of Milwaukee's lefties. Whether it was Koenig, they got to him. Obviously, they got to Cortez. They got to Thomas. And they got to Alexander. And they did it in a collective way. So far this season, the Yankees are hitting .367 with an .898 slugging percentage in 66 plate appearances against left-handed pitching. And I point those two numbers out, batting average and slug, because those were the Yankees' biggest problems last year against lefties. The on-base numbers were good because they walked. They walked a lot against lefties, but they never did damage. They couldn't slug. And so it was nice to see this kind of start. It doesn't mean much because it's 3 games, 66 plate appearances, but nonetheless, it was a nice collective effort overall, right? It was nice to see that collective production. That's kind of been the whole point here. After losing out on number 22, right? This whole post Juan Soto, there I go, I said it. This whole post Juan Soto era, the whole thing has been about, well, can we fill out a lineup that's, not so heliocentric and it's more egalitarian? Can we fill out a lineup where there's contributions all around as opposed to it being extremely top heavy? You're 3 days in, but they're showing a lot of that, right? Opening day, you had 4 different guys with RBIs, 4 different guys scoring a run, 8 different guys on base. Saturday, game 2, 8 different guys on base at least twice, 6 different guys with RBIs, 9 different guys scored a run. Franchise record, 9 home runs, 7 different Yankees with home runs. And then today, seven different guys with RBIs, 5 different guys on base at least twice, 5 different guys scored a run, 4 multi-hit games. So, a lot of guys all together so far. Everyone pretty much looks good at the plate besides, maybe Jason Dominguez, who's still, you like the at-bats you're getting from him. He's taking walks and he's displaying a really good eye. He is spitting on some pitches outside the plate that are just missing. You like that. But everyone's hitting. Rice hitting the ball super hard, pulling the ball. Bellinger pulling the ball. An incredible 2-strike approach. He's seeing a ton of pitches. He's batting third. He's batting second. He's been an RBI machine, 3 sac flies. He's also playing good center field, good left field. He made a catch today in the first inning that was really nice in center field going back. Goldschmidt has been a total pro at the plate. Base hits, home run pop. Jazz. Will the Torpedo Bats turn him into an all-star? We will get to that stuff. Volpe, he's swinging hard. Volpe's swinging hard, and he's swinging for home runs. Right? You want the power swing. Those inside fastballs, pull that to left field. You saw that in this series. Couple of walks, too. He's not chasing outside the zone. That postseason approach that we saw, that's what you want. Command the strike zone. That was a big selling point that the Yankees told us about. In his scouting reports, when he was coming up as a number 1 prospect in their system, this guy can control the strike zone. We're seeing that. Carried over from the postseason? Maybe. Hopefully. We'll see. He also got off to a hot start last year. Austin Wells has been good. And, of course, the captain of the Yankees, who is going to be the first guy here that we tip our cap to, Aaron fucking Judge. My goodness, this is the wrong graphic. Nice job. Here he is. Aaron Judge. Man, just look at those numbers, bro. Aaron Judge this series went 6 for 11, which was a .545 batting average. An OPS of 2461. 2 doubles, 4 homers, 11 RBIs, 3 walks, 8 runs scored, 20 total bases in just these 3 games. So, when you're slugging 18-18 in your first 3 games, I would say you're off to a hot start. And it's nice to see Aaron Judge off to a hot start. Obviously, last year being so bad in April and then carrying that over, or not carrying it over, but having a bad spring training this year. It was nice to see. It's nice to see Aaron Judge off to a torrid start. Some idiot, probably Mets fan, posted on Twitter the other day, Juan Soto 1 home run, Aaron Judge none. And then Judge goes off on Saturday, and then adds 1 more in on Sunday. The guy's incredible. We are witnessing one of the greatest right-handed bats ever to live. I was finding myself thinking today, I'm like, how many more seasons of 350 plus homers, 1,000 OPS type years does he have? How many does he need to get before he's considered the greatest righty hitter ever? He's not far off of being considered the greatest right-handed bat of all time. He can't be far off. I wonder how many left he has. If this is another one, you got to think he's what? Later this month, he's going to turn 32. Let me check. Let's just have a little fun with this. Let's have a little fun, because guys do start to taper off once they turn 33. That's usually the age. So Judge is 32. April 26th, he'll turn 33. If he has a couple more of these top MVP peak seasons, does that get him the greatest right-handed batter of all time label? Could. The guy's incredible. And obviously the postseason stuff is the postseason stuff. We're always going to talk about that on the show here. But living in the moment right now, he's been awesome, and you just got to appreciate it at the same time. Guy's incredible. So tip my cap to Aaron Judge. You are 1 for 1 so far this year in cap tips. And you're doing it with your baseball bat that you've always used. And that's what we're going to get into next, folks. Stay with us. Don't have time to sit down and watch a video? You can listen to BD4 on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Don't forget to give us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. And you can also watch the video format on Spotify too. Okay, so, yeah. So the Yes broadcast kind of brought this to attention on Saturday, Game 2. The Yankees are using what people are starting to call torpedo bats. I think initially it was just Jazz Chisholm and Anthony Volpe, but there was also a report that came out today, Sunday, that at least 5 Yankees are using them. The more the better to me. Hopefully that number becomes a lot higher by Tuesday. But yeah, the Yankees are using these custom-made bats where I don't want to spend too much time on this because people are beating a dead horse with this already. But the Yankees are using these customized bats where the sweet spot is a little bit lower on the barrel. And it's noticeably different looking than the traditional bat. So when you first see it, it's kind of got this bowling pin look. But yeah, the distribution of the wood is lower. And the reason for it is to increase barrels and to decrease whiffs, swing and misses. And it's custom made for each individual player. Like Volpe was getting jammed a lot in spring training, so they decided to move the barrel lower for him. And the Yankees obviously having a big offensive weekend where they went out and they scored 36 runs in a 3-game span. Obviously, this caught attention. And anytime that anybody from the 29 other fan bases get a window to where they can try to spin zone something and twist it to make the Yankees look bad, of course they will. Right? Which is why I love being a Yankees fan, because we're always in people's heads and we piss people off. But the funny part is it's completely legal. It's legal. And it's legal because it's less than 2.61 inches in diameter at the thickest part. And it's also no longer than 42 inches in length. Pause. It's only allowed if the manufacturer has the MLB's approval. And it's only allowed if the umpire on the field allows it. So if the Yankees have now been using it for 3 games, they can use it. Personally, I see more teams start to do this pretty soon. I think a lot more tech-savvy teams will start doing this, if they haven't already. I mean, Bellinger said that he used it in experimenting. He experimented with it in the past with the Cubs. Stanton said this was or I don't know if Stanton said it himself, but the report on Stanton was that he used a different bat last year, and that was part of the reason he's hurt now. It was the torpedo bat. Cora recently came out and said that some of his players used this bat in camp. And then a player today from Minnesota, I forget who, but somebody from the Minnesota Twins was using it today. So this is not just a Yankee thing. It's just the Yankees are getting attention because their lineup has been producing so well. I do wonder if this will eventually be something that teams start to manipulate and kind of stretch the rules with, and they find loopholes and gray areas, and there do become some ejections, or if the league doesn't like it. I do wonder where this goes. But for now, if it's legal, why wouldn't you do it? Pitchers' technology has become so advanced with spin rates and scouting reports and framing, and they've been messing around and doctoring baseball since the beginning of time, et cetera, et cetera. It's about time that hitters have an advantage too. And it's kind of crazy to me that it took this long to take advantage of legal limits on bats. You figured that would have been a thing by now. But so, you got to credit the Yankees analytics team for being as advanced as they are. They deserve credit. And the guy behind this is now a coach with the Miami Marlins. They call him Lenny. His name is Aaron Leonhardt. Credit to him. And with the Yankees lineup entering the season as a question mark, this is a good way to get to it. This is a good way to tap into some extra offense here. Help guys find the barrel more. I'm very excited to see where this goes, and I think it's great for baseball. And you can really tell who's extremely stupid and who just jumps on the bandwagon with whoever gets likes on Twitter easily from this, right? Because literally the MLB rulebook has been reshared on Twitter a quadrillion amounts of times in the past 2 days. So all it takes is a couple of clicks on your laptop, on your phone, and you'll be able to tell that it's legal. It's almost like calling the Dodgers cheaters for the whole contract deferral thing, right? Just because something that's never been done before is happening now, it doesn't make it against the rules. Just because you're uncomfortable with something, it doesn't mean it's against the rules. This isn't using an Apple Watch, or it's not banging on a trash can using technology. No, it's not even corking your bat. This is tinkering with the barrel of the bat. It's an adjustment on the bat. Just like pitchers make adjustments, or have in the past, by doctoring balls with pine tar, etc. So, I find it interesting. I don't think it's anything crazy until the league says no. I think every single team should be using this. Every team that can afford it. So that's really it on the whole Batgate thing. Couple more talking points I want to get to. I want to go to the other side of the diamond for a second, because as good of a weekend as this was, you worry a little bit about the defense. And hopefully it's not going to be the same. And it would be pretty, I'm trying to find a word to describe it. Pretty despicable after Game 5 of the World Series, and really going through all they went through defensively and how poor they were fundamentally last year. It would be a pretty despicable approach for the Yankees to go into the season the same way defensively and not make it a point of emphasis. So you're hoping this is just a fluke, because the goal, or one of the goals of this roster building in this past offseason, was to be better fundamentally and in the field. Right? And they were abysmal all of last year. Obviously, Game 5 in the World Series. And I know it's early in the season. And I know on Saturday, the majority of that game was in a blowout. But you've had some rough looks. Right? You had the Goldschmidt-Rodon play at first base on opening day. And then you get to Saturday, and it was the most disgusting display of defense I can't say that I've ever seen, because we had Game 5, but it was horrible. 5 errors. Volpe, Fried, Reyes again, Chisholm. Fried makes the bad throw to first base, coming in on the ball. Volpe makes a bad throw to first base, trying to turn two. He probably should have just swallowed it. Or, make the throw while you're handling, while you're set more, and just make a average throw. Got a fast runner going to first there. Reyes bobbled it a couple of times. That guy won't be at third when Fried pitches. Sunday, you got some better defense Sunday. But the Dominguez stuff is getting interesting to me. He, a couple of times in left field today, he almost dropped the ball because he didn't squeeze it, and his glove was a bit too low. And I think the very next ball in play, he kind of walks to a routine fly ball, doesn't go for it. 95% catch probability results in a single that gets Stroman yanked. Jason Dominguez has got to tighten the fuck up. He's their number one prospect. He's the guy they've held on to for years. He's the guy they refuse to make trades with or sign outfielders because of. So the last thing that we need as a fan base is for the Yankees to tank his value even further by not letting him get reps. I don't think the Yankees will do something as stupid as to bench him. I don't think they're that mentally ill. Only a mentally ill organization would sit their number one guy before he gets an opportunity. Otherwise, it just makes no sense of this whole thing. But, I do think they should stop sitting him late in the game for defense if it's a blowout. If it's a tight game, yeah. If it's a safe situation, even if it's like a 4-5 run game, yeah. But I hope that this doesn't become a thing all year. And it doesn't make much sense to run from it. If it's like it's the 7th inning and it's a 6-run game, or if it's a 5-run game against the Angels or the White Sox, 4 or 5-run game in the 7th, let him play. He needs the reps. And it's also not a great look for a team that's been bullshitting in the media. We have faith. We have confidence in them. You sub him out for defense game 1. You DH him in game 2. You sub him out for game 3. So Dominguez has got to start tightening up. He's got to take that position more seriously. The concentration and the focus doesn't seem to be great. He's smiling about it too. It kind of annoys me. Kid's got to take that more serious. Infield stuff, yeah, like we just said. The 5 errors were tough. The Goldschmidt stuff, he had a down year last year at first base metrically. This is a veteran player. He's older. I don't know, man. Hopefully it doesn't become a problem with him. Trouble getting off the bag. You got some more contact pitchers in the mix this year. Tim Hill is here for a full season. Jonathan Loaizaga will be here in the second half. Max Fried is in here. Stroman is part of your rotation. Carrasco for a couple of weeks. So you just hope it tightens up. The defense needs to tighten up. They've been better on the bases. That's a positive. I mean, the athleticism, big difference, right? One of their biggest fundamental issues, not only was it in the field, but it was on the bases last year too. They were slow, they were dumb. This year, they're more athletic and they're higher IQ, right? Even Goldschmidt, who's slow, is a smart base runner. But you got speed. You got speed in Grisham, in Volpe, in Jazz, in Bellinger, in Peraza, in Dominguez. I mean, Saturday, Dominguez was flying around the bases. The kid can fly. I think the Yankees were very crisp on the bases this weekend. I think their biggest mistake on the bases was Grisham trying to steal second. That was it. Whatever. But, they were going first to third. They were tagging up, advancing on pass balls. You like the base running. And so that's one of the positives when you want to talk about their fundamentals, was that they were sharp on the bases, and I expect them to continue to be sharp on the bases with the personnel they have on this roster. athletically and mentally. Couple more things I want to get to, and I want to go to the pitching side of things. I thought the bullpen was beautiful. I thought in 3 games, it's as advertised. Obviously, you had the one Devin Williams shakeup. Whatever. But, it was more of an average bullpen last year. Actually, according to WAR, their bullpen was 19th. It was below average. Run prevention, they were 6th, but it just, they didn't get a lot of whiff. They didn't have that strikeout firepower. This season, it feels like they have potential for a ton of swing and miss. You've obviously got Weaver and Williams in the back, but you have a ton of breaking ball specialists between them two, Mark Leiter Jr., Fernando Cruz. You got a couple of guys when they're healthy who can throw 100 miles an hour in Hamilton and Lasagna. You got a couple of other guys who bring you different looks, like a Tim Hill, Scott Efros when he's healthy. Even Yarborough has a different arm angle. It's a unique bullpen that I think is going to be a very big strength for this team, and they are going to lead the way. I think the offense will obviously regress a little bit. We'll see what happens with the lineup, but I think the strength of this team will be the bullpen when it's all said and done. And this weekend, they got off to a blazing start. It's not going to be talked about because of all the gaudy offensive numbers, but this bullpen went out there this weekend and they threw 12 1/3 innings, 12 1/3 innings of 4-run ball, 18 strikeouts, so a 2.92 ERA and a 13.14 K per 9. So they got their strikeouts in. The Yankees used 9 relievers in these 3 games: Carrasco, Hill, Gomez, Cruz, Hedrick, Weaver, Williams, Yarbrough, and Leiter. Carrasco obviously pitched in the middle game there. He's due to start on April 3rd as well. Tim Hill escapes the jam on opening day, flashing his rare strikeout power today. That was new. I don't know if he had 3 strikeouts all year with the Yankees last year. I don't know if I trust Tim Hill for a 162 game season, but we'll see. He's fun and he's always getting the job done. So maybe I should give him more respect. But yeah, Fernando Cruz was a little bit wild today, but that splitter looked fantastic. He got Churio to swing on a strikeout. It was like a dirt ball splitter. Churio swings and misses on it. And he will get a ridiculous amount of strikeouts as long as he has his control, right? Run prevention will be dependent on Fernando Cruz's control. So, Weaver looked good on Thursday. Devin Williams, shaky, but who cares? And Mark Leiter Jr., pure filth. And this is a guy who I consider a breakout candidate for the Yankees. Mark Leiter Jr. is getting my respect in this episode. I'm tipping my cap to him. I keep hitting the wrong friggin' graphic here for those who are watching. Here we go. Mark Leiter Jr. I tip my cap to you. 2 innings in 2 games, game 1 and game 3. No runs, no hits, no walks, no hit batters. 4 strikeouts, 26 pitches needed just. Excellent 2 outings for him. I do think he's going to, and when I say breakout year, I'm not talking about him becoming one of the better relievers in baseball, but I think can maybe establish a role where he's their new 7th inning guy. He was their big deadline acquisition last year, and that obviously fans were pissed off, including myself, because that wasn't a big star get. And he proceeded to get shelled in his brief stint in the regular season where he had a 5 ERA and 21 plus innings, whatever it was. But then he thrived in the playoffs, and he showed what he could do in the LCS, and he had a couple of good World Series games. And so the Yankees brought him back after, right? They brought him back after arbitration for the same reason they traded for him, right? That they think with the full off season And with a full camp under Matt Blake's guidance, that a guy like Mark Leiter with swing and miss upside and filthy breaking stuff, they believe they can tap into that. And he's a guy with a really sharp splitter, curveball, pitch tunneling sequence. You know, that splitter's got sharp, late bite. That curveball, man, plunges downward. It's got 12-6 break where it just plunges downward. And on top of that, you know, you throw that after your split, it's about 15 miles an hour slower than the split. So try hitting that and staying balanced. You know, on Saturday, Leiter goes out there and he retires Milwaukee's 8-9-1 with ease on 12 pitches. He gets Vinny Capra to softly ground a ball to shortstop. It was a splitter. He then toys with Bryce Turang for another swinging strikeout. He gets 3 straight swing and misses, curveball, split. The final splitter bites the dirt and induces a sword. And then he gets Chourio for a strikeout swinging on 3 consecutive splitters later in the at-bat. The final one nearly hitting his hands. It moves so well in on him, and he still swings and misses at it. Filth. And then Sunday, today, another perfect inning with 2 more strikeouts. He gets Mitchell on a low sinker for a called strike 3. And then in the final at-bat, he gets done swinging and missing on a splitter in the dirt. So they have some filthy stuff, this bullpen does. And again, I'm not saying that Mark Leiter is going to turn into one of the best relievers in the game, but what I am saying is he had a 3.5 ERA with the Cubs in 2023. Could he do something similar? Could he be slightly better? Not crazy. And so, you know, while the bullpen carried and Fried and Stroman were so-so, I do want to shout out Carlos Rodon, who got the opening day start. And Carlos Rodon, tipping my cap to him amongst the starting rotation because I thought you were the best. Once again, I go to the wrong fucking graphic. Here we go. Carlos Rodon. It's 3 for 3. Opening day, Rodon gets the start, goes 5 1/3, 1 run, 4 hits, 7 strikeouts, 2 walks, a home run, 89 pitches in the win. Bearded Rodon. Is he going to return to ace form? He threw 28 sliders in this game. That's 31% slider. And it looked very sharp. He got a ton of swing and miss on it. Back foot to righties. Outside on lefties. He threw 23 four-seam fastballs. That's 26% of the time four-seam. Had similar problems with it. Mislocation with 95. That's going to lead to damage. You know, top of the 3rd inning, he goes 95 upstairs to Capra. Solo home run 2-1. If you elevate 95, it's got to be well above the zone. The high fastball is a hittable pitch nowadays. You know, 95 is a hittable pitch nowadays. So, you know, it's. I do like the fact that it wasn't too much four seam in this game. He didn't primarily go to the four seam. He was primary slider, but that's the declining pitch for him. He won 18 changeups, 20%, and I thought the changeup played. You know, got a lot of whiffs, a couple of strikeouts with it. 9 curveballs, 10% of the time. That looked good. Backdoor curveball. He dropped that in for strikes to righties a couple of times. Ton of first pitch strikes with the curve. Pitching backwards to set up the heat with the curveball. And then he threw 10 sinkers. 11% of his pitches on Thursday were sinkers. You did not see that last year. You didn't even see it in spring training. He didn't throw sinkers in games. The sinker is a pitch that Carlos threw in his early days with Chicago. And it's a one-seam sinker. It's not even a two-seamer. It's a one-seam sinker. It's something that Joe Musgrove has thrown. I think Marcus Stroman throws a one-seamer, if I'm correct. But yeah, you know, with his four-seam fastball not really generating good results anymore, you know, you're adding in one more pitch, you know, to be less predictable, right? It used to be just fastball slider with Rodon. When he came here, that was it. That was his bread and butter. It was fastball slider. I'm not going to throw anything else. Last year, we saw him mix in more curve. We saw him add in a changeup entirely. This year, he's adding in what seems to be a one-seam sinker. So he's gone from a 2-pitch mix to a 5-pitch mix, 6-pitch mix if you include the cutter, which will occasionally flash, but he went away from that last year in the second half. But the sinker is interesting, and I think the sinker is going to play up because of his high arm slot and his release point. It's tough to pick up that way, right? Unlike the 4-seam. So despite the sinker not really having a ton of horizontal break, it's got great and unique drop when you compare it to other starters in this league who have similar arm angles and velocities. And I think that's why it's going to play well to both lefties and righties because of that. And I think it will help him limit his home runs and limit damage and get more ground balls. So the sinker is a good pitch to keep an eye on, just to make him less predictable and to generate some softer contact with that 4-seamer, getting worse and worse the last couple of seasons for him. But overall, it was a good day on the mound for Carlos Rodon. Again, you want him to go a little deeper, but it's April. And the fact that he got through healthy was good. He obviously had that scare in the 4th inning to cover first base. But overall, pitching-wise, Carlos Rodon was excellent for as much as they limited him. So good to see. And I think that's it regarding the series, folks. So what we're going to do is head to our final break, get back, and we'll talk about a few things to wrap this series up with. Stay with us. We'll be right back. If you feel like supporting the podcast, you can Venmo at Robert-Carbone-JR-28. We really appreciate your support. Do you enjoy Yankees baseball but are tired of hearing me yap? I have a suggestion for you. Go check out Yankee Crazy Podcast. Greg Gill is a Yankees podcaster on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and he's now selling merch. Go to yankeecrazy.myshopify.com. Stay connected with us. Visit BD4blog.com to explore our blog, tune into our latest podcasts, and follow us on social media. Thank you for being a part of this community. Okay. Welcome back to the show. Episode 837 of the podcast here. On BD4, the Yanks are 3-0. Life is good. The vibes are all high at the moment. We will see where this season goes. I'm sure there will be plenty of ups and downs and plenty of episodes where I just don't feel like recording because the vibes will be miserable, like with every team at some point. But right now they're 3-0. They have the day off tomorrow, and then they've got 3 more games on this opening homestand against Arizona. That's the next series. You got the Diamondbacks. Tuesday, you got Warren going up against Corbin Burns. So that could be an interesting one. Wednesday, you've got Rodon versus Zach Gallen. Thursday, you've got Carlos Carrasco versus Merrill Kelly. So 3 right-handed pitchers all in a row for the Brewers. So that's good for the Yankees. Not for the Brewers, for the Diamondbacks. So that's it. That's what we got next before the Yankees head out on the road. But you got the day off tomorrow. So 2 days off in your first 4 days of the regular season is not fun. But, after this day off, you got a bunch of games in a row for the Yanks. And you got some more home games here in the Bronx coming up. So that is it for this one. And we will wrap it up now with our trivia question before we go. Let's get to our trivia. All right. All right. So for our trivia question here in episode 837, on Saturday, the Yankees broke a franchise record for home runs hit in a game. In what year was the previous record set? All right. On Saturday, the Yankees broke a franchise record for home runs hit in a game. In what year was the previous record set? So I don't need the number itself. I just need the year. All right. So with that all said, that is all we have for this episode, everybody. I very much appreciate you all tuning in. The Yankees sweep the Brewers 3-0 in this set. And they head into a day off tomorrow before they start up a series with the D-backs up next. So, fun start. I appreciate you all tuning in, and I'll see you all very soon. Later. Well, if you made it this far, that means you listened to or watched the entire episode. Thank you. Just remember to follow, subscribe, download, rate and review, and all that fun stuff to help out the podcast. And I will see you in the next episode of BD4.